Many Canadians are feeling the pressures right now of everyday expenses. Canadians need a boost today and a bridge to tomorrow. And that's why Canada's new government has been relentlessly focused on making life more affordable for Canadians.
Marcus Carnivorous is about to give some cheese to Canadians struggling with not necessarily making ends meet. I'd like to say struggling to hold both ends like within the same room in both hands without having one end get ripped out of your hands and then sending you flying out the window and into the gutter and possibly into one of those overcrowded jails that conservatives keep wanting to shove people into. What am I talking about? Well, the GST tax credit is getting DLC. Only in mildly socialist Canada, DLC pays for you. This is my little dark meat impression. They're calling it the Groceries and Essentials Benefit. And I gotta say, it's nice to see Carney doing something for people who aren't wealthy enough to donate to his campaign. Now, is it everything that I would have liked to deal with issues around groceries in Canada? No. I would have started by stripping Galen Weston down to his tighty whities and parading him through the streets while someone yells,
Shame.
look, I understand that Carney has been a busy guy, and he's working a lot harder than I would if I were in his position. And I understand that a lot of these trade deals, if all goes well, will actually bring in a lot of the manual labor jobs that got pulled out of this country, and it'll give the demographic who worships Pierre something to do other than posting uninformed comments in my comment section. Actually, they don't generally post in my comment section. They post in everybody else's comments, but they don't post in mine. One critique that I do have about this benefit is that it's reacting to the fact that there are three companies that basically own all of Canadian grocery, and they keep jacking up the prices, not because they need to, but because Galen Weston has a tiny dick. And I appreciate the federal government trying to negate some of the problems, but is there a solution that doesn't ask the federal government to compensate for Galen's gaping empty hole? The one in his soul, I mean. Personally, I would love to hear that the federal government is at least exploring a federal crown corporation, ideally one established with a requirement that it can't be sold off by the Conservatives without a national referendum. You know, since they love to sell off profitable crown corps. Because the problem isn't really just about logistics and costs. I'm pretty sure that heaps of research has shown that it's mostly about greed by people who don't have a need. And that puts the rest of us into the red. So why not look at building up some infrastructure to have a few moderately sized stores in each city with produce, baked goods, dairy, and if you do decide to sell cleaning products, please make sure they only carry non-scented products by Canadian companies like Unscented Company or Green Cricket. Imagine how good the grocery experience could be if the stores were staffed by employees who knew that the owners wouldn't replace them with self-checkout terminals if they could get away with it.